Patterson.
Thanks, Chair. I also have some questions on the cyber security strategy, particularly about the funding, if any relevant officials need to come forward for that. Can you confirm how much money has been committed under the new cyber security strategy over the forward estimates?
Certainly can. I'll just get the Chief Financial Officer to assist me. But as the government announced on the launch of the cyber security strategy, there is $586.9 million over 7 years.
Right.
And so that's the overall quantum, which includes 5 initiatives funded in the budget or in MyEFO as part of other considerations of government, and then 10 initiatives directly funded in MyEFO under the cyber security strategy consideration. The constellation of those programs then informs the 586.9 over 7, and then over the forwards, Ms. Cargill.
Stephanie Cargill, Chief Finance Officer. So in terms of the forward estimates for the cyber measure, as you would see from the portfolio additional estimates statement and from MyEFO, so $192.4 million over the forward estimates. The MyEFO statement also outlined $300 million over 5 years for the measure.
Right. You're going to need to help me here because when the cyber strategy was announced on the 22nd of November, as you say, there was a media release which said the Albanese Labor government has committed $586.9 million to the cyber security strategy out to 2030. But when asked about this at her press conference, I think it again was Mr Clennell from Sky News, the Minister said, and I quote, $587 million over 4 years, not 7. Can you clarify that discrepancy?
I can give you the figure is over 7 years.
Correct.
So that's
why does the Minister believe it's over 4 years if it's actually over 7?
Well, I think I can give you the figures that we've got in the budget papers and in our figures.
There was quite an extended exchange between Mr Clennell and the Minister about the funding, and she corrected him when he said it was over 7 years. She said, no, it's over 4. Did the Minister get it wrong? Did you give the wrong information to the Minister? How did this happen?
Senator, I can only assume that because the funding had been expressed in different ways that there was some confusion, but we can certainly take on notice whether or not we provided some wrong information.
Thank you. That would be helpful. How could the Minister be confused about the funding for her own cyber security strategy on the day it was announced?
There are 15 different initiatives, and
only one funding envelope, though.
They are in various levels of 3 years, 5 years, 7-year funding. So it is actually quite complex and took me quite a lot of time to work out how they all fit together and then the overall quantum. So maybe, as Ms Foster has said, we might have provided some information that the Minister relied on, and we'll check the record and see what happened.
Thank you. I'm sure, Mr Hansford, you would not have provided the incorrect information, but I'll look forward to that on notice. So just to clarify, the only expenditure in the forward estimates is $192 million. Correct. That's a third of what the government was trumpeting in its media release, roughly, over 7 years. It's a pretty modest investment, $192 million. I mean, the previous cybersecurity strategy released in 2020 had $1.67 billion, and the Minister has categorised the previous government's approach to sleepwalking. If the Minister can only come up with about 10% of the funding that the previous government did, how is that an improved response?
Senator, I think the cybersecurity strategy covers a whole range of initiatives, some of which are continuing funding from the $1.67 billion in the last strategy, $1.35 billion of that related to the defence portfolio, to take one example, and then the addition, as the Minister outlined in her press release on the 22nd of November, the funding is on top of the commitment to agencies like the Australian Signals Directorate. So a lot of initiatives in the strategy. This is directly from both MyEFO and the budget.
Sure, but I mean the Minister said that the previous strategy was so inadequate that it had to be torn up and had to start again. And of course, we haven't even covered the $10 billion of commitment to the Red Spice program by the previous government. I mean, if $1.67 billion wasn't adequate, if $10 billion wasn't adequate, how is $192 million going to change the game?
I think, Senator, we judge the success of the cyber security strategy not only in fiscal terms but rather in the constellation of different initiatives that will get Australia to being a world-leading cyber economy by 2030.